Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is MegaTrain, and we are back on Project Ozone LIte. And I've been doing some work on the island here. I got a little bit of a garden to grow some potatoes and grow some wheat. One thing that's nice, and I'm not sure which mod is responsible for it, but if you just keep right-clicking these things, it'll just harvest and replant. It won't pop it out of the ground for you that you have to keep replanting. So I wanted some potatoes and some wheat so that I could vary my the bait inside my ground traps. So I've got some veggie bait now, and that's giving me some raw venison and raw pork chops. I've also got some grain bait that's giving me raw turkey and raw beef. So I've got some new drawers to hold all this material here, and we'll just take advantage of the drawer controller that we created last time. If I double right click this, everything in my inventory disappears because it all went into these slots. So we're getting some good supplies of feathers, which is nice. We'll be using those for quite a few different things. One thing I've also been doing every once in a while is popping back down to my squid farm here. Woo. And picking up all the junk. So just as I'm working up above, I have more and more squid that keep spawning here. As a matter of fact, it's gotten to the point that my my drawer is full. So I laid a storage drawer down here, and I'll just expand the storage on that so that we can keep putting squid ink in there. So I really don't know if I'll have a use for this much squid ink, but easy enough to make something to hold it and pick up some loot bags. One of the things that we're going to be doing today, let me pop into my quests book, is we're going to be accomplishing quite a few quests today. One of the things that we can do pretty quickly here is we can get some diamond mesh, and we can get our cobblestone generator up to level 3 using diamonds. Shift right click with an empty hand is how that worked. And we'll make some diamond mesh. Get that achievement. Pick up the cobblestone generator. We'll bump this up to the next level. As you can see, I have tons of cobblestone here. So really, this is where the fact that we've got the compacting drawer really is helpful. So we'll make the next level of cobblestone generator and get our loot chests for both of those and our diamond mesh. We got a quarter heart. We're not actually the hearts are only useful for if you enable hardcore mode, which we're not doing, so I don't know that those are going to be all that much use for us. Alright. So back in our quest book, the other thing that we're going to be working on is our Tinker's achievements here, building a Tinker Smeltery. But before we do that, this one we can get out of the way really quick. Floral fertilizer. And this we can get basically by digging up these roots on our island. So let me find a spot where I'm not going to plunge to my death. How do I do this? How about this? So these roots basically allow us to, let me just use the use. So we can either make oak saplings or we can make this floral fertilizer. So we've got plenty of saplings at this point in the game, but we can use this to make fertilizer. I mean, this lets us check off the achievement, but that's it. It doesn't give us any reward, but at least we mark it green. I think I'm going to go ahead and dig up the rest of this center island here and dig up all the rest of these roots so that I can pave this thing over and get rid of the big hole that's in the middle. So, all right, so I kind of made a sub-platform down here, moved my water source down. I wanted to maintain the 3 water source drops because that's how my farm down there is set up. There is a bedrock block in the middle of the original island, so we'll have to work around that. There we go. So got a bit more dirt, got some more living root and fertilizer. This floral fertilizer, by the way, doesn't give you normal flowers. It gives you magical flowers from Botania. So we will be working with those quite a bit later on in the game and see what they do. I did get quite a bit more dirt here, and I'm just going to add that to my big giant pile of dirt that I've been making. So I've been running through not only sawdust, but also leaves. And spruce trees have been pretty good for me. I actually got spruce trees originally by using the spruce seeds that we got by sifting dirt. But as I'm sure you know, spruce can grow in a 2x2. So that's tons of wood to knock down with my hammer. And my hammer broke, leaving the top of the tree. That is not what I wanted. So let me throw this sawdust in here. If you have shears, you can shear the leaves as well and recycle those in here. The biggest problem with that at this point is that shears don't last very long, especially if the leaves come all the way down and you're trying to harvest a lot of them. So yeah, I don't like to leave that up there. I'm going to climb up and break that all down, and then we'll build our tinker's tools and stick one of those on top. Tool station. There you go. It got it. So the next thing that we'll need is all of this stuff. And every one of these items, the seared bricks, the smeltery drain, the faucet, the smeltery controller, all this stuff requires seared bricks. So I've already cooked up a bit of this. Seared bricks comes from grout, and grout is made from gravel and sand and clay. So gravel and sand and clay we've got plenty of, so we made a whole bunch of grout and smelted it up into seared bricks. Okay, let's show you what we can do with our seared brick now that I've got it. We can make all sorts of things. I've already crafted most of these up. Smeltery controller is kind of the brain of the smeltery. Drain is where your stuff can come out, so I crafted up 4 of these. We either need casting tables or basins for each of those outputs, and I made a couple of each. Furnace controllers and tinker tank controllers are for different kinds of machines or objects, so we're not going to be using those. The tank is where your lava goes in, so you can actually heat everything up. And I made some windows so that we can see through the side of our smeltery. And each of my outputs needs a drain, and everything else I'm going to make up into seared bricks. So let me take the rest of this. I hope I have enough. And I'll put everything else together into more bricks. So let me lay down the foundation of the smeltery here. So you'll need some sort of a square or rectangular base. And then you need some walls. So we'll build up some walls here, and I definitely think I'm going to need more of this. And then we're going to start putting our pieces in here. So drains are going to come out the front, and the tables and the basins will go underneath. And the sort of the input and output here. Let me put, which side do I want to put? I'm going to put the tank on this side, and I will put the controller on the right side. All right, I figured out the problem here. The problem was not the glass or anything like that, although I did move it around a bit. The problem was my controller was pointing the wrong way. So let me point it the correct direction. It lights up, and you can see that it's actually working here. For the smeltery to actually work, I need to provide some lava into my tank. And it's got quite a bit of capacity. But here's what we can do. The smelter is really good for several things. One of the main things is that I can melt stuff down and then cast it up into different stuff. So, for example, I can throw some iron in here. One of the great advantages is that these 8 pieces are going to actually let me get 16 iron ingots. So it's an ore doubler. Nice to have in the early game. Throw all your ore chunks in here instead of using a normal furnace. And you'll get twice as much out. So once that goes in there, how do we get that out? Basically, you can use these drains, and you have to attach each of these drains attach each of the faucets to each of your drains. And you can drain it either into a basin if you have enough to make a full block, or onto a table if you want a particular shape. So those 8 gave me 1 block and 7 additional ingots. So a block is 9 ingots, so that's 16. That's twice the amount that I actually put in there. I'll do the same thing for gold here. So I can actually just right-click my faucet and make 1 full block. You can't put iron out into a flat table. What you need to do is you need to make an ingot cast. So the idea is basically that you take any other ingot you have, either an iron ingot or a seared brick or something, and you put it in there. And basically you can pour gold around it. So let me click on the liquid that I want, which is the gold, and I can right-click it, and it's going to go around the ingot. It'll burn it up. And it'll give me an ingot cast. So now I've got 2 ingot casts. I can put those on these two spots next to each other, and I can either get gold out or iron. So we can use this as an ore doubler. We can use this to get resources that we would not otherwise be able to get. For example, let's say I get some horse armor inside some loot bags. I can throw that in here. I can even throw emerald armor into here. And otherwise, what do you do with that? The only thing you can do with that is put it on a horse and ride around, or throw it into a smeltery and turn it back into its original material. So there's quite a few things that we can do this way. If we get extra iron armor, extra iron tools, stuff like that, we can throw them in the smeltery as well. So that's really 2 things so far. So we can do ore doubling. We can get resources out of horse armor and things that we otherwise can't utilize. And third, we can make some interesting tools. So in the vanilla game, basically all you can do is make your tools and enchant them. But with the Tinker Smeltery, not only can we make some very interesting tools, mattocks and scythes and stuff like that. For example, a mattock is basically a combination axe and shovel. So it's good for tilling soil, it's good for digging dirt, it's good for cutting wood. So it's a pretty versatile tool. All right, here's what we're going to make. We're going to make a pickaxe, and we're going to make a mattock. So you can kind of get the sense of what pieces you need if you can recognize the patterns from here. But you can actually get it to tell you the specific pieces you need if you go into your tool station. So if I select the pickaxe on the left, it tells me that I need the tool rod, a pickaxe head, and a binding. So you'll go to your stencil table, you'll fill it up with blank stencils. So I'll choose a pickaxe head pattern. Now, I'll store these permanently in my pattern chest over to the right, but for right now we'll need them. I will need a tool rod pattern, and I will need a binding. So here's how we actually make use of these. We move over to the next table, which is the part builder. We put the pattern in there, and the easiest thing to do is just put some cobblestone and basically make a cheap disposable pattern that we're going to turn into a permanent one. So we'll do that for the pickaxe head. We'll do that for the tool rod, and we'll do that for the binding. Now, we use the same technique that we did earlier. To make permanent molds for these. So we'll lay these down. We'll make sure that the gold is on the bottom. I think there are some other metals that you can use, but I always use gold. There we go. Got our pickaxe head and our tool rod. And we'll do the same thing for our binding. And there we go. So let's go ahead and put together the pieces that we want. If you look at your materials list in your book, every single one of these materials has vastly different durability and mining speed and mine level. I spent some time going through this to see which one made the most sense, and you've got to take into account which ones you have access to at this point. But for a pickaxe, I need one with a high mining level. And a mining level of cobalt is pretty much the highest that is available at this point in the game. And surprisingly, emerald has a very high durability, a really high mining level, and a pretty decent mining speed. The only one that I know that is better than that is carbon. It has really good durability. It has very, very fast mining speed. That's actually a liability. So you can mine things way, way too fast with carbon. So I know a lot of people swear by it. But for a pickaxe, I'm going to actually use emerald. For the tool rod, I'm going to use molten copper. Molten copper has a nice property if I look at it in here. Copper gives free bonus XP. So we're going to take advantage of that here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make a second one of those for my other tool. And let me see, let's pick that out, put that one back. And for the binding, I'm just going to use iron. Put together our pieces. And it gives us a preview of what this is. So mining level cobalt, mining speed 7, attack 8, and 3 modifiers. Those will come in handy. We can basically add stuff to this pick. There we go. So our initial patterns we can put here in the pattern chest. The other tool that we were going to make was the Mattock, and the Mattock, if we select it here, needs an axe head and a shovel head. We already have the tool rod, so let's get the axe head. And there we go. All right, we'll make sure these tools do what they're supposed to. So we can certainly mine here. If I vein mine, we can get the whole thing. My Mattock, if you remember, we can do dirt, and I can right-click and plant these and cut down a tree with them. So, anything that you've made on the Tinker Smeltery, you cannot repair in a normal anvil. You have to repair using your tool station. So once the durability gets low enough, I've got to come back here and repair it up here. And it'll be whatever main material you used here. So I made the main thing out of emerald, so that'll probably be what I have to use to repair it. The other thing that we can do here, let me open up my materials book again, and you can use the Tinker's tools to add modifiers. So if you add diamond to your tool, it'll give it extra durability. It'll add extra damage if it's a weapon. There are you can add luck, which is either going to be fortune or it's going to be looting, depending on whether it's a weapon or a mining tool. I definitely encourage you to go through these and take a look at them. If you want to add haste, if you want to increase your mining speed, you can do that with redstone. So one that is worth mentioning here, there's a silk touch modifier. And basically you make what's called a silky jewel. So a silky jewel is basically an emerald surrounded by these silky cloths, and these are just gold. And we'll come back to our tool station. Now right now, if you look, I hold shift, it's got 3 available modifiers. Adding this silky jewel is going to use one of these 2 modifiers, and it will then give it silk touch. But that's fine. That's exactly what I want. Now, one final thing I want to show you about the smeltery, at least for today. The only thing we have left in here is some molten emerald, and notice that you cannot get emerald out using your normal ingot cast. It doesn't work. You have to make what's called a gem cast. So you got to sacrifice an emerald to make that. But then you can cast any of your liquid molten emerald into here. You can also, if you have enough, cast emerald into a block. On our objective list, on our quest list, there's one up here called faster Crucible processing. And this isn't actually anything that you achieve or that gives you anything, but you're just acknowledging that you've seen the tips here. So basically, under my Crucible, if you remember, we have a torch. That torch is really enough to melt lava, which is kind of amazing. But if you look on the left-hand side, it says their rate 1x. And if I go back in here, there's other ways to make this thing faster. So we don't have a lot of these. We don't have a plutonium or ludicrite or awakened draconium. We do have yellorium, however. So if I go ahead and grab one of my yellorium blocks out of here and replace the torch. So now it's going to be processing the cobblestone into lava a whole lot faster. So this is how we're going to actually accomplish our other objective here, which is to get 10 obsidian. So I'm going to lay down some slabs here so I don't make a mess of water all over the place. But if I put water over the top, pull lava out, and put lava in the bucket, it'll immediately turn obsidian, and I can pull it out directly. There we go, our Nether achievement. We'll claim that one. And let's go ahead and open our reward chest. See what we get here. Mystical fertilizer, industrial grade graphite ore. Actually, that is important. I'm going to need that. Witch charm, 4 carat plus. Not all that interesting. And glowstone ingot. Thank you for joining me. I think next time we'll probably get into some Ender IO machinery and maybe make up some solar panels or some generators to make some electricity and see what we can do with that. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time.